Welcome back. This is part 3 of my cozy Cobweb Witch. If you haven't seen the previous video making this hat and my little broomstick, you should go check that out. I also have a video. The first video of this series is making some cute lavender stays. And if you came from those videos or if you've already seen them, then welcome back. And yay, excited to do maybe the last part of this series. This video, I'm going to be going over the skirts for this costume. So far, like I mentioned before, I made the hat that I'm currently wearing. Look at this little guy with all his little spiders, so cute. A broom with flowers instead of like normal broom bristles. And then I remade a pair of old stays and I made them with a color that I really like instead of color that I don't like to wear. So I started out this project with kind of a plan. I have a few sketches and I decided that I really wanted stays because that ended up in all of my sketches. The rest of the pieces I have just kind of been winging it. I've decided to follow a whim and just make whatever I've been feeling like that falls within the right Cobweb Witch cute cozy vibe. If you have seen the last video, you know that I ended up entirely in a different place than I had anticipated. The pieces that I had said I was going to make for the last video were entirely different from the pieces that I actually ended up making. Will this happen again? Maybe. The general plan right now, before anything gets sidetracked, is to make a patchwork quilt kind of skirt and to make a bunch of lace skirts. If I don't feel like making extra skirts, then maybe I'll make a top and that will be the final video if this one's not the final video. For the lace skirts, I'm going to be using a lot of like tablecloths and curtains and stuff, and that will be pretty straightforward. It'll either just be like a rectangular gathered skirt, or maybe I'll cut a hole in the middle to make it kind of like a handkerchief circle skirt. Actually, I probably will do that. So the lace skirts will probably end up being handkerchief skirts. For the patchwork skirt, I've been really inspired recently by crazy quilts. I see them a lot on Pinterest. The basic concept of the crazy quilt is that it's like a patchwork quilt that is like very intensely patchworked with like a lot of different textures and different fabrics and like small pieces, and like they don't really have an order to them like normally what you would think of quilting. Personally, when I think of quilting, I think of like squares or like an image or a pattern or something. The crazy quilt does not have a specific pattern as far as I know. I don't know a ton about it, but from what I've observed on Pinterest, it does seem like it's just kind of like random assortments of patchwork happening. People go back into them and embroider and bead and like add a lot of like really cool texture and stuff to them. So that is the goal. I am running low on time. Today's Wednesday and I'm going to be wearing this costume on Saturday. We've got a few days, but because I'm letting this costume be a little bit fluid, I think that is working well with my lack of time. For the embroidery, I'll be using some techniques that I picked up from Craftsy. This video is not sponsored by Craftsy, but my previous one was. I talked about like the basic embroidery class where I learned how to do some basic embroidery stitches and get a good foundation. Let's get started. Here's my little quilt sample. This is essentially what I want to do for the whole thing, except more. This will probably end up in the actual skirt as well, so I'm just gonna keep expanding on this. It seems like when people do the crazy quilt stuff, there are actual like quilt blocks and people do it in blocks. I am not super versed in quilting, meaning that I've made one quilt ever and I just kind of was winging it entirely. So it's also what I'm going to be doing for this. I also saw some online where they had lace along some of the stitch edges. I don't know, this whole thing is going to be very experimental, so I'm just going to go for it. This is my box of fabrics. This is just fabrics that I put aside for this project. So some of it's scraps, some of it's full fabrics, and I'm just gonna like dig through this and put stuff together. If I've got small scraps, then great, then I can make more stuff like this. For big pieces of fabric, then I'm gonna need to cut them up. I'm not really doing much else with them anyways, so here we go. I've got some pieces that are kind of curved like this, and I think I kind of want to keep some of the curves. So to make sure that the other piece is like the exact mirror of this and like fills in the space and we don't end up with like weird bubbling or a curved seam where I don't want one, I'm gonna just trace this piece onto a piece of paper, cut that out, and then use that as a pattern piece for some other fabric. I stuck a couple of curtains into the dye bath after I dyed my bodice. I ended up putting a little bit more gray in for this one, but I'm going to turn these two into skirts. I think for this one, because it's got like a nice scalloped lace border on the side, it's got it on the two long sides. So I think I'm just going to make this like a rectangular gathered skirt or put it on an elastic and just use this as the hem because it looks cute. This one, I'm going to cut it in half and turn it into like a handkerchief skirt with 2 layers to it. That's the plan. I'm going to have to hem, I guess, the one side of the cut edge for this. I don't know, if the cut edge looks really cool, then I might just cut all of the edges so that it's more like wispy, raggedy looking, but I will have to see how bad this varies. This is very long, so I gotta figure out what length I want this and then cut the top off, and I can stitch it into an elastic channel. Let's figure that out. I don't have any 1 inch wide or like close to 1 inch wide elastic in white, so I'm gonna use small elastic. This is like a little over a 1/4 inch, and I'm just gonna make a 1 inch channel and then stitch 3 channels into it so that I can thread elastic through all 3. This stuff is not heavy duty enough for a waistband, but if I combine like 3 rows of it, then it should be. This stuff is usually better for like armbands or something. skirt base is done. I've gotten some of the embroidery done, but not a ton. I really would like to have more of this done for this costume, but I'm supposed to wear it tomorrow, so that's definitely not happening by tomorrow. So I've left it unlined for now. Eventually I would like to line it because this is not very pretty on the inside with all these seams. Could have serged it, just didn't end up having time, and I probably should have used the pinking shears, but I didn't. So eventually I do want to line it, but because I can't line it before I get all the embroidery done, I'm just gonna leave it. So I've done a hand-stitched like kind of temporary waistband, so it'll be really easy to just pop it off and then stitch it back on when I want to add the lining. But for now, she's gonna just remain unlined, and I'm not gonna wear this more than one time until this is lined again. So the back is like pretty plain, like it's not plain, it's got all the patchwork, but it's plain as far as like not having any embroidery. The front has some embroidery on it, which I think looks really cute, and it makes me really excited to like do more of it on there. Eventually it'll have more of this. I'm just gonna keep working on this tonight and tomorrow in the car, and we'll see how it goes. For the reveal for this video, I think I'm just gonna do the reveal tomorrow while I'm wearing this at the Ren Fair. This is not the most planned out video, so we're just going. But look at it, it's so cute. I'm really happy with how it's turning out so far. I just want to keep doing more of this. I just obviously like I can only embroider so fast. It's currently 8:30, so I've got like maybe another hour before I go to bed, get into bed and continue reading. I'm reading the final book of the Skullman's right now. I'm rereading it and I really like those books. So I want to read a little bit before I go to bed and give my eyes a little bit of a break from like going like this. So I'll do a little bit more work and then call it for the night. Do a little bit more work in the car probably. Then that will be what it is for now. Let's continue. Okay, so now that we're at the end of the video, this is definitely the final video of this series. I didn't end up having enough time to make a shirt, so I just wore this shirt and I think it's cute and it works really well. Look at the cute little details on it. It's been a week since I went to the Ren Fair and wore this. Gotta say, this was not my favorite thing to wear to a Ren Fair. The hat was a lot to wear. It was really overstimulating. Holding a broom the whole time, not fun. I like being able to use my hands. So this was just like a really overstimulating, unfun costume to wear. It's really cute. I think that this is great for like Halloween or for a photo shoot or just like, you know, chilling at home when I don't have to carry things and I don't have to go somewhere and I don't need peripheral vision, because all of those things made it not so fun to exist. Like a 2 out of 10 for wearing comfort wise, but I'm very happy with how it all turned out. I think it looks really cute. The skirt is very cute. The skirt is not done yet. Sorry you had to look at a whole bunch of raw edges, but like I mentioned before, I can't really line it until I'm done with the embroidery, and there's a lot of embroidery that I still want to do. I want to add like beads and stuff. It's a work in progress. I also spilled some tomato soup on it, and it got on my shirt, it got on the stays, and it got on the skirt. It washed out of the shirt and it's not super visible on the stays, but the napkins that they have at PA Ren Fair have red ink, like the logo stamped onto them. I didn't realize that it was just a stamp, and so when I went to wipe it off, I got the tomato sauce off, but then I left a little red mark. So hopefully I can embroider it so that that's not really visible anymore. There's just like a lot of stuff that I still want to do. The embroidery that I did first, that I spent most of my time on, is under the stays. That was also really unfortunate that just the placement of where that embroidery landed is not very visible. I don't know if wasted my time is the right way to phrase it, but I spent most of my time embroidering parts that are not actually visible when I'm wearing a costume. So that was kind of annoying. To make up for some lost time, I did some embroidery on the car ride up to the Ren Fair. I got some stuff done and I'm happy with what I got done, so that's good. I tried to focus it on where you could actually visibly see it after I realized that a lot of it's hidden by the stays. The underskirts I think are great. They're not really anything super special, like they're just underskirt filler, I guess, but I think they match the vibe really well, like with the lacy, cobwebby look. I'm really happy with how the upper handkerchief hem skirt worked out. The color is really good, and I like how the frayed edges look. I think it looks very in line with the vibe. The little hack where I put in the 3 channels because I didn't have any wide elastic worked really well. A little workaround, if you don't have any larger elastic, you can make multiple channels and that'll kind of do the same job, and it looks kind of cool. I also did 3 channels on my Space Pirate blouse on the very back. That was less because I didn't have wide enough elastic and more because I was continuing the look of the 3 drawstrings. I realized when I did the drawstrings all the way around, like I couldn't move my shoulders very much, so I replaced that with elastic. That was more for like the decorative design choice, and this was more for a functional choice. So something to keep in mind if you're looking for interesting things to do with your elastic channels, or if you don't have the correct elastic. I am really happy with how the patchwork skirt has turned out so far. Like I mentioned, I do want to add a lot more embroidery. It was a big experiment, and I think that probably having all the grains going the same way would make it lay better, but I also was kind of winging the whole thing, and I was trying to make it as random as possible without having too many of the same borders touch, or any of the same borders touch. I'm not really sure. If I had planned more far in advance and came up with an actual pattern and like an actual design for where all the patchwork was gonna go, then I could have made it so the grains were all going the correct way. The way that I did it was just kind of like cutting pieces apart and sewing them together, and cutting those pieces apart, sewing them together. Just a lot of like random piecing together. That means that the grains are all going in really weird directions, so some of it kind of lays weird, some of it wants to stick out more. This one piece really wants to lay super flat because the grain is going sideways, so it doesn't really want to like do this nice hanging thing that a lot of the other ones want to do, because it happened by chance that a lot of the pieces ended up through the bias, which means that they lay pretty nicely. That one ended up so that the cross grain is growing entirely sideways, so it just really wants to lay sideways flat. So that one's not so cute. It is, however, stretching out a little bit as it is existing on this skirt, and it's relaxing into it a little bit more, so that's good. I think the more that I work with it, with the embroidery, it will also like relax a little bit more. I think it just needs some time to chill and not look like a piece of paper stuck to my skirt. Hemming this is going to be a pain. Getting the lining to lay exactly like the skirt is going to be something. I might have to make it just a separate lining and hope that it protects it enough. If I had been thinking ahead, or if I'd had more time and wasn't just kind of like trying to feel this project in the moment, I would have serged all of the seams. As it is, I did not do that, and it's kind of hard to serge seams once there's a lot of seams like intersecting, if that makes sense. So we're instead going to do a lining, and that hopefully will be enough to protect it. I don't really anticipate that this skirt is going to see enough wear that it will will like fray out, and it's definitely not ever going in the washing machine. When I drop the soup on it, I just kind of spot cleaned it, because some of these fabrics do fray a lot. Like a lot of the brocades tend to fray and are kind of a looser weave, so I do want to take care of those. I hope you guys liked following along with this costume. This is hopefully now a yearly tradition. I skipped a year, but this is done three, and I'm excited to like get back into all of the regular posting and regular sewing. I've been having a really good time making this costume, and I really enjoy making things kind of in this just go with the flow kind of way. Because I do want to continue this next year, if you have ideas for next year's witch costume, then throw them in the comments. I would love to hear from you guys and hear your ideas. Somebody said a tech witch, which I thought was really cool. That would be a really fun idea and very different from other stuff that I've made. I was thinking a tea witch would also be really cute, though it might end up a little too similar to this costume, so maybe not for next year. Yeah, if you have ideas, let me know. I'd love to hear them, and I will take them into consideration when I'm choosing my outfit for next year. That's it. Alright, well, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions for next year's witch costume, other things you'd like to see me make, then please drop them in the comments. I love hearing from you guys. Even if I don't always have time to respond to all the comments, I do read all of them. That goes for the ones that are nice and supportive. I really appreciate you guys, and also for the ones that are not always the nicest. I am a person and I read all of these, so please be nice. But the vast majority of comments that I get, you're all very nice, and I really appreciate you guys watching my videos and being here and talking to me, so thanks. And if you want to see more videos of mine, I've got some vlogs coming up, more sewing. I did a big leather project recently, so that's gonna get a video soon once I finish editing that. Want to see all those things? Then please subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye! Wait, look at my little spider again. He's so cute. Look at him. I love him. He's looking more and more like a squished spider. Okay, that's it. Bye!